defensively, they're making more moves than on the offensive side of the ball, at least at the huge positions, the much needed positions, the secondary. And I think if they go out and get Logan Ryan, that would really shore up a good unit. So you would have Ryan, you would have Sean Davis, you would have Kendall Fuller, you would have Landon Collins. You do that, and then you started to make a little bit of a splash on the defensive side. Offensively, a little different story.
Well, also you're going to a 4-3, and you're hoping to have, if you get Chase Young especially, your secondary shouldn't be, as needed if that up front is doing as well as you hope it does. So you can mask a little bit of it there. But they have some work there, too, because, Dunbar leaving, not that I thought he was a Pro Bowler, but it is a spot you have to figure out.
Mm-hmm. I just didn't understand why they gave up on him so quickly, and then why they gave him up for just like a fifth-round pick. That didn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think Rivera's pretty much told everybody, we got to all row in the same direction. I just can't have this kind of nonsense going on day one. And
right.
I don't know why Dunbar had to act this way. I really was disappointed in him.
Yeah.
He forgot that, one, the Redskins saved a career that would have been a short receiver. And two, he only played half the games last 2 years. And three, he's a good player on a bad team. That doesn't make him a good player on a good team.
Right.
He's decent. A fifth, I was thinking maybe a third or a fourth. A fifth seemed like, screw it, just go ahead. So you basically traded your starting corner for a backup young quarterback.
Right.
I wouldn't normally make that trade.
Don't you just see it as a reset for Rivera? Because if you think about it, it still hasn't happened. He wants to get rid of Trent Williams. He's getting rid of Quentin Dunbar. If anybody is questionable, shaky as to whether they want to be on the Redskins, he's like, let's get rid of them.
Well, he's trying to change the culture here, and hey, 3-13 with players last year, not trying to put others. There's not a lot of guys that are indispensable off a 3-13 team. So he likes the young talent on his team. I think he likes them a little more than I do. You wonder, do you have to keep that number 2 pick for one great player to try and trade it for several? There's so many needs. You went through free agency and really you got a corner, but other than that, and a safety too. But you didn't change your offense at all, and it was horrible last year. You need multiple help here, and I think maybe you trade the pick to try and get it.
Yeah, that's what Eric says. Eric says go ahead. It depends on what the offer is. I'd be really interested if Miami wants to trade up, but if it's one of these other teams where I got to get a number 1 next year, if I can get multiple ones in this draft, I might do it. But Miami seems like the only team that can do that.
Has anybody done any poking around, like with the Miami people, the Miami journalists? Do they think that there's any sense that they're interested in doing that? Like, I feel like no buzz on that.
It seems that Miami has cooled a little bit, thinking Tua is going to be there at 5. Right. So the Redskins got to make a fake market out of this and blow smoke to make it look like they're trading that Tua to somebody else to bluff Miami.
Off the scrap heap and not give up a fifth or whatever they gave up, and then it also makes it obvious that they're out of the Tua sweepstakes.
Yeah, I just think that the free agency not getting as much as you wanted puts more pressure on your draft, and you don't have the picks. You don't have a second, so I think you need a lot more help. Otherwise this offense wasn't that great last year, I don't even know who their left tackle is at this point. Really. So I think, and you're asking so many things. You're asking guys to stay healthy and AP to come back at 35. And there's so much that, your defense might be pretty good overall, but, man, it's going to be a long year. And, offense puts fans in seats. Let's not forget that, how hard it is to get fans in seats this fall. People are a little from the big stadiums maybe. There's a lot of talk about teams lowering prices to try and get fans to come in whenever we get released from all this. You need some offensive stars. So I don't know if you trade down for that reason. And, instead of just trading for ones, can you trade for a player too, right, like they've done in the past?
Right.
That might be a way out of trying to get versus multiple ones.
Right. I totally agree with that. And if they don't, I could see them – okay, they draft Chase and then trade down as much as they don't want to, that third-round pick to just acquire more. Maybe get a later third-round pick, and then some extra fourths, fifths, that kind of thing. They need more picks.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just, until they got a fifth back off of Dunbar, I kind of wondered, wow, there's not much left in the draft.
Right.
Two sevenths, who cares?
Right.
I mean, things like that. So they're going to have to really do some magic here, I think, to try and, they've had decent drafts the last couple of years, so maybe they can continue that. But they need players. I mean, otherwise, nobody's thinking they're winning 10 games this year anyway. But,
no.
You need something to kind of get that offense going, or else Haskins has has a mediocre year, and then everybody blames him, and then you wonder, is it him? Or do you have to change passers? I mean, there's a lot going on here.
Rick, do you still see another move or two in free agency? Because the Redskins still have, I believe it's a little bit over $33 million left that they could potentially spend.
Yeah, that's the amazing part is they had the money to spend. They didn't. I thought Bruce Allen was still here. That really surprised me the most. I don't see anything consequential, going to happen at this point. I can maybe see a trade draft time to somebody, them making a move somehow. I don't know. I smell that for some reason, that they'll go look that way. But nothing in free agency, really.
Hey, Rick, here's another team that's interesting in terms of possible, trade partners. The Jacksonville Jags have 2 first-rounders. They're selecting at 9 and at 20, okay? The Raiders also have 2 first-rounders. They're at 12 and 19. But the Jags are at 9 and 20. Obviously they traded Nick Foles. Gardner Minshew right now is their guy. Not sure if they're sold on him, but what if Jacksonville is really interested in Tua? That could be a possibility too. That's a little bit more enticing, 9 and 20 than the Raiders at 12 and 19.
Well, you get to be the minister of disinformation and get that smoke screen up, man. Because it's very plausible. I could see that happening. And 2-1s, you feel like you're undersold because the Redskins made it 3-1s, years ago, and suddenly you look like you're underselling the value.
Right.
Is Chase Young the greatest all-time, Lawrence Taylor wannabe coming through? I don't know. And it's interesting with this shutdown that we don't get to see some of these personal workouts maybe before the draft, that everybody was like Tua saying, hey, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
Now they're not going to get to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking even more of a risk. Putting everything on one guy like RG3, it just shows you how vulnerable you can be to that.
Are the Redskins, you might not know this, but are the Redskins coaches and front office people meeting via conference call every day, or are they actually going into the park?
I think the park is still shut down.
Okay.
I haven't heard about it. I haven't heard about it reopening. If they're quietly doing it, they could be. There's not a guard at the door. But yeah, I think everybody's kind of doing Skype and Zoom or whatever now.
Right. Good luck trying to find a webcam.
Right. That's what we're doing. Zoomy.
Yeah.